What's up, Steelers Nation? Before we dive into today's bombshell report, let me remind you of one thing. This team is constantly working to get better. Omar Khan, Mike Tomlin, and the entire Steelers organization are leaving no stone unturned to make sure the black and gold are legitimate contenders in 2025. And that's exactly why today's news has the whole NFL world buzzing. So before we break it down, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right now. It helps the channel out a ton, and it tells YouTube that Steelers Nation is the most passionate fan base in football. And of course, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any breaking news updates all season long. All right, let's get into it. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this one all the way through. We're talking about none other than Tyreek Hill. Yes, that Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, one of the most explosive wide receivers in the history of the NFL. According to none other than Mike Florio, who spoke on 93.7 The Fan here in Pittsburgh, a reliable source has told him that the Steelers are indeed interested in trading for Hill if he becomes available. And this isn't just some random rumor. This comes from the same source that told Florio months ago that the Steelers were going to land Jalen Ramsey, back when people were laughing at the idea. And guess what? Ramsey is wearing black and gold today. So when this source now says Pittsburgh has their eyes on Tyreek Hill, it's time to take it seriously. Look, Steelers Nation, we know the offense is loaded in some areas. Aaron Rodgers showed in Week 1 that he can still throw 4 touchdowns and carry an offense. DK Metcalf is a true WR1. And Calvin Austin III stepped up huge against the Jets, catching 4 balls for 70 yards and a score. He's been developing into a reliable weapon that Rodgers clearly trusts. But here's the issue. Behind Metcalf and Austin, the depth at wide receiver is thin. Rookie Roman Wilson is promising, but he's not proven. The Steelers' offense, for all its upgrades this offseason, still doesn't have that second superstar receiver that can take over games. And Tyreek Hill, well, he changes defenses the second he steps on the field. He forces double teams, he opens up the run game, he creates easy completions underneath for everyone else. And paired with Rodgers, imagine that. Rodgers dropping back, scanning the field with Metcalf on one side and Tyreek Hill on the other. That's nightmare fuel for defensive coordinators across the league. Now, let's keep it real here. Hill doesn't come without baggage. There are new reports surrounding him off the field, including allegations of domestic abuse from his former wife. His history of controversy is no secret. And then there's the question of whether or not he's truly a great locker room fit. In Miami, there's been friction. He's voiced frustrations. He's been called a distraction more than once. Mike Tomlin is known for being able to manage big personalities. He's done it before, from Antonio Brown to Le'Veon Bell to countless others. But the question becomes, is it worth the risk? Do the Steelers really want to bring in another potential distraction, especially when the locker room chemistry feels so strong right now? One thing is for sure, the Steelers and Dolphins do business often. We all remember when Pittsburgh traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick back in 2019. And then, just this summer, Minkah went right back to Miami as part of the blockbuster that brought both Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to the Steel City. Now we're here again, with Tyreek Hill's name surfacing as a potential target. The relationship between Omar Khan and Miami's front office is clearly strong. And if Pittsburgh decides to pick up the phone, there's no doubt Miami would listen. Here's the counter-argument, Steelers Nation. Should wide receiver even be the priority right now? Calvin Austin III looks sharp in Week 1. DK Metcalf is your alpha. Rodgers doesn't need Hill to succeed. What he does need? Better protection. The offensive line struggled against the Jets. Rodgers was sacked 4 times, and the running game never found its rhythm. If Pittsburgh is going to spend draft capital on a trade, wouldn't a left tackle or a big defensive lineman make more sense? Especially when you consider that the defense gave up nearly 400 yards to the Jets in Week 1. Breece Hall and Justin Fields had their way in the run game, and the Steelers were pushed around up front. Rookie Yahya Black only played 24 snaps, while Isaiah Loudermilk played more despite grading out poorly. Jerry Dulac himself said the Steelers need to play Black more, especially with first-round pick Derek Harmon already sidelined. So while Hill would be a flashy addition, the reality is Pittsburgh might be better off using resources to fix the trenches, either bolstering the O-line or reinforcing the D-line. At the end of the day, here's what we know. A reliable source who already nailed the Jalen Ramsey scoop is now saying the Steelers are interested in Tyreek Hill. That means this is real. That means Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin are at least keeping the possibility open. The question is, should they pull the trigger? On one hand, you're adding one of the most explosive weapons in the NFL, a player who could instantly take your offense from dangerous to downright terrifying. Rodgers, Metcalf, Austin, and Hill would be a top 5 passing attack in football. On the other hand, you're taking a risk on a player with major off-the-field baggage, and you're ignoring some of the bigger needs this roster still has. The offensive line has cracks. The defensive front needs reinforcements, and chemistry in the locker room is fragile. You don't want to blow it up with the wrong addition. Now, before we get into the history of this number and what it could mean for Peppers' identity as a Steeler, let's put this in context. The Steelers officially signed Peppers to their 53-man roster, adding an experienced, versatile safety to a defense that has already been making headlines this offseason. With Minkah Fitzpatrick out of the picture and Jalen Ramsey stepping into a hybrid defensive back role, there's been a lot of talk about how the secondary would shape up. Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin clearly wanted more depth and more veteran leadership in that group, and Peppers is their answer. But why number 40? For fans who follow these details closely, this number has some unique ties to Steelers history. The most recent player to wear it was linebacker Devin Harper in 2024, though Harper didn't appear in a regular season game. The most notable Steeler associated with number 40 is safety Myron Bell, who played for Pittsburgh from 1994 through 1997, then again in 2000 and 2001. Bell carved out a tough, hard-hitting reputation, tallying 159 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 3.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions across 80 games. He wasn't a superstar, but he was the kind of grinder and reliable defender that fans here in Pittsburgh always respect. So when Jabrill Peppers takes the field in number 40, he's not just wearing any jersey. He's stepping into a piece of Steelers tradition. And that's a pretty exciting thought for this fan base.
Now, for those who have followed Peppers' journey, you know his number has always been part of his identity. At the University of Michigan, he was an All-American and the 2016 Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, wearing number 5. That number became iconic for him. But when he was drafted in 2017 by the Cleveland Browns, the NFL didn't allow defensive players to wear single digits yet, so he switched to number 22 in Cleveland. When he was traded to the New York Giants in that blockbuster Odell Beckham Jr. deal, Peppers switched again to number 21, which he kept throughout his 3 seasons in New York. Then came his stint in New England. In 2022, he wore number 3 and later switched back to number 5 once the NFL changed the rules to allow it. That number stuck with him until the end of his time with the Patriots in 2024. So why not stick with 5 in Pittsburgh? Well, Steelers fans, there's a simple answer. Jalen Ramsey already owns number 5. And when you look at Peppers' past numbers, 3, 21, and 22, those are already taken as well. Corliss Waitman has 3, Chuck Clark has 21, and Juan Thornhill has 22. That left Peppers with a tough decision, and he went in a different direction. Some fans might find it odd to see a defensive back in the 40s, but remember, jersey numbers in today's NFL have become less about tradition and more about personal reinvention. Peppers choosing 40 feels like a fresh start, a way of signaling that this is a brand new chapter in his career. And make no mistake, Peppers is coming to Pittsburgh to compete, not just to wear a different jersey. At 29 years old, he brings a wealth of NFL experience, versatility, and toughness to a Steelers secondary that is still finding its new identity. With Tomlin moving Ramsey into a hybrid safety role, and with Fitzpatrick gone, Peppers provides both depth and flexibility. He can line up deep, he can play in the box, and he can even contribute on special teams if needed. The Steelers love versatility in their defensive backs, and Peppers fits that mold perfectly. Fans might remember him at Michigan, where he was essentially a Swiss Army knife, lining up as a safety, corner, linebacker, and even a return man. That adaptability is exactly why the Steelers value him now. And let's not forget, the Steelers' defense is already loaded with star power. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. This unit has no shortage of names that opposing offenses need to prepare for. Adding Peppers gives the defense even more options to disguise coverages and throw offenses off balance. Now, here's something else worth thinking about. Jersey numbers can sometimes become symbolic of a player's role or mentality. We've seen players embrace off-brand numbers as a way of standing out and making a statement. By taking number 40, Peppers is distancing himself from the expectations tied to his past numbers and carving out a new identity right here in Pittsburgh. This raises the question, how do you, the fans, feel about it? Does it matter what number a player wears as long as they make plays on Sundays? Or do you think certain numbers carry extra weight in Pittsburgh history? After all, when you put on that black and gold, every detail gets scrutinized, from your play on the field to the number on your chest. What's clear is that Jabrill Peppers has an opportunity here. He may not be the centerpiece of the defense, but he could be the glue that holds certain parts together. His physicality, his leadership, and his experience could make him one of those under-the-radar signings that ends up being crucial when the season gets tough. So now it's time for you, Steeler Nation. What do you think? Should the Steelers take the gamble and trade for Tyreek Hill if the Dolphins make him available? Or should Amar Khan focus on building the trenches, the O-line and D-line, to give this team more balance and stability? Drop your answers down in the comments. I'll be reading every single one because I want to know how Steelers fans are feeling about this. And before you head out, make sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying these daily Steelers updates and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next big breaking story. This season is just getting started, and trust me, the Steelers are not done making headlines. Here we go, Steeler Nation.